Hi, everybody. I'm glad to see you're here. I see lots of shiny names in the chat. That's the only thing I have to go by. Um, the numbers aren't in yet. YouTube can be kind of slow. But anyway, today is the day before the summer solstice, and it's an extremely interesting day. It was about a year and a half ago I started studying earth energies and ley lines. I got interested in Rory Duff, got a couple of other readers interested in watching his stuff. Danny and I even did a show called Frequencies where we talked about the things he's tracking. Um, and for those of you, a quick biography on Rory Duff. Um, let's see. This is his website. And Rory was hunting diamonds and gold in South Africa. He's a geologist by trade. And he was found out about dowsing from the natives there. That's how they would go find the minerals they wanted to find. And dowsing is using a pendulum or using dowsing rods like these little guys. I don't know if you've ever seen them, when they cross it's yes, when they go apart, it's no. Well, you have to ask them what's yes for me, but that's what's yes for me, and that's what no. And a lot of people walk across the grounds. They're completely independent. They're just little things. There's nothing to handle. There's nothing I can do with the handle to make it swing a certain way that's saying, yes, you can't do that. But I can, and it can point to things. It can, which way is Hogarth? Which way is Hogarth? Okay, get him neutral. Which way is Hogarth? That's right, Hogarth's out there. He's my tree. They led me to my tree. I used the dowsing rods and I used pendulums when I was out by Hogarth. And for those of you who haven't seen Hogarth, this is Hogarth. He's a gnarled up old tree that's right on a walkway. And these yellow lines, these where the grass had died, it doesn't usually do that in the winter, but it did this winter. And I'd been told by a person who works with earth energy, who's an architect, that when you find a tree that looks like Hogarth, but they don't have to look exactly any tree that has large burls on it, those funny looking lumpy things. Um, when you find a tree like that, it's generally on ley line energy because ley lines are spots on the Earth's surface where um, go to Rory's site. He can explain a little better, but it's either the Earth's magnetism or just Earth energies. Some of what's like the Schumann resonance that's going around the Earth. It used to be very plain, very dull, very kind of normal. And ever since 2017, when we shifted to a new place in our galaxy where we are no longer protected by a cloud of energetic gas that used to keep photonic energy and subatomic particles off of the Earth, there the all of the resonance and everything went along pretty much normally, unless there was a huge change in human emotions, unless our own precognizance, even if we weren't aware of it, got a hold of something. And if you want to hear some interesting stories about that, go to Heart, Heart, Math, Math. Look that up on YouTube. There's some interesting shows. But the way they began, some people who had random number machines began to realize that the random number machines weren't random at certain times. And they were pretty far apart. But of course, if you're selling your cell phone, selling random numbers, you got to make sure they're random. And so what happened was these guys all got together. They all started tracking the dates that their machines were going out of whack, and the machines were going out of whack all over the world. And so the first one of the stories they talk about in that is right before the planes went into the World Trade Center towers in New York on 9/11. Um, all the machines got in sync, like something's coming. And they lasted for about 2 hours after the planes hit the towers. Then they went back to functioning normally. There's some other times they talk about that all machines went crazy before 2017, and one of them was on the day that Obama was elected, which I found kind of interesting since I was an Obama fan. But anyway, there's a lot of interesting stuff happening in all the energetics around us. And since 2017, when this veil that protected us from the subatomic particles, those are now passing through the earth. The fact that they're so small, they will pass through the earth. That means they pass through the iron core, and they're changing the resonance, the way that iron core is sending energy out into the planet. And Rory Duff and his crew, if you go back and look at his stuff, Ley Lines started in the early 1900s, but they were just kind of a curiosity until Rory decided to find out where they were. They're all over England because so many people live there for so long, and they've had so much of people building on them. They built their cathedrals on them. They built their main walking paths on them. They just really tied into the energy naturally. Well, then Rory came along, and he lived in England by this time. He'd come back from South Africa, and he started following one particular ley line, and he found out, among other things, that it moved. It moved, he thought, somewhat with the cycle of the moon, but they wavered. And that kind of interested me is, how did that work and how do you find one? And so I've been reading and following his stuff and ley line information for a long time. And I included in the description below Tim Walter, who I've had as a guest on my show. Tim and I have a claim to fame. Tim's the one who said to me, well, if you're building grids for everything, why aren't you building a grid for the world? And I was like, a grid for the world? That's not pretentious at all. But he convinced me, and some other readers got together with me. And this is the grid we've created for the world. And we heated it up on New Year's of this year, on December 31st. We had a New Year's Eve ceremony, and Danny and Jeffrey from Ripe Color, and I think Dr. Gale was on that show because they all helped contribute to the building of this. And if you get a grid, what you get, little stone's gonna fall off, okay. You get a description of every stone that's on there. And it's got fluorites and red jaspers and goldstones and honey calcites and green moss agate and green aventurine and mother of pearl, blue lace, agate, quartz points, and fluorites. And I also send it with a wand, and you heat it, you fire it up, and I fire it up periodically. And I don't know if that's had anything to do with what's happened in 2023. But in 2023, if you watch Tim Walter, if you follow Rory Duff, or if you go to the video that I've attached in the description, Tim Walter is talking to a man who he kind of was like me. He said, oh, ley lines, let's go see if I can find him. He's a geologist, and he found that the rods responded and that he could find this energetic line, and that they tended to do what they do in England. They led to churches. They led to places where people meet and congregate. And it's if you listen to his story, it's about an hour. It's not a wasted hour. You're going to learn about something. Because one of the things he says in that video, something I found, is by understanding earth energies and ley lines and tying them to the solstices and the equinoxes, that you begin to see the whole pattern of how the earth, it's sort of the aging, the seasons the earth goes through, just like we do in our own lives. And right now, when I first looked for ley lines, they were supposed to be a meter across, maybe 3 feet across at the most. Some were even less. But then the bigger ones, and Rory's got a whole classification system. When he started out, he thought a ley line was a ley line. Well, now they have a whole classification system. He's written a whole chunky fat book about it. He's done two films about it. One was Templar Bound and Templar Found, I think is what they're called. You can find them on YouTube. And it's how the Templars were using these ley lines. And you'll hear that referred to in the video that I've attached to this, because that guy from Moravia, whose name I have so rudely forgotten, um, he's tracked them all over Moravia. It's become an obsession with him. And he's figured out a way he can drive along with his car and use his dowsing rods to point to the direction they're in so he can map them. He's a geologist. He loves to map. He's mapping them. There are people all over England that belong to ley line walking groups, and there are groups of people that go out and find them. You can go to a Google function in England, and if you found a new ley line, you can add it on, or you can say, was I walking where someone had already found it? In America, we have one of the bigger Earth energy lines. It's called a dragon line. It comes off the west coast of California, and it goes all the way across the U.S. through the Midwest, and it ends up at a very holy place, a very revered place. It was an Indian sacred place before the Catholics took it over and turned it into Holy Hill, but it's in Wisconsin. And I've actually spoken to someone who went there, and they went around with their dowsing stuff, and they really only found 2 places that they felt had a lot of energy in it, but they weren't looking for the line leading into it. They were just looking for energy on that space. So it can kind of become an interesting thing. I've had a lot of people find their energy lines by finding their gnarly tree. And I think that's interesting. I was told to do that by an architect who works with ley lines and ley line energy. And he's gone into homes where people built their house in the wrong place and they had energy in it that's called house clearing. That's what Tim Walter really does. But they go through and they try to clear or change or move the energy around the house. And that can happen too. The reason the tree has the gnarls is there's so much energy off of the ley line that it grows in the tree's roots, and the tree can only grow so much in certain ways, so it creates those lumps and bumps to accommodate the energy. So if you're lucky enough and you live in a place that's got kind of forested trails or things like that, if you look out and you see a tree that's gnarly, if you go out by that tree and you look 360 degrees around it, you'll probably see a tree in front of it and in back of it that also have bumps, and that tells you where your ley line's running. So that's kind of interesting. So I also, this morning, I had a class with Ann Perry on numerology. She does fascinating stuff on numerology. And what she taught us today was not just like birth dates and someone's life path. All this stuff's really good and interesting. And if you go to her website, you can pick around and find your own master class in numerology. She's really, really good at this stuff. But she also was talking about ley lines. And I said, I'm going to do a show on ley lines. So she was saying, if you take words and you assign them the numbers, and this is based on a Pythagorean alphabet. If you go to her site, she has a whole little chart. I am not skilled enough to put the chart up on my screen. But if you add the L and the E and the Y for ley together, that equals 15. And then if you add the L for LINES, the lines, that equals 27. When you add the 27 to the 15, you get the number 42. Now, in numerology, you always want to get it down to the one single digit. So what you've got is a 6 that's made of a 4 and a 2. And 4, this is really simple numerology, but 4 means base, building a foundation, and understanding that. And 2 means bringing information together, bringing ideas together, or working with another person. In other words, groups help work with this. And it simplifies to a 6. So what does a 6 mean for the word ley lines? Well, 6 is coming home. It's a place that's warm and intriguing and empowering for you to understand. Um, and when today in her class, not to snitch from her curriculum, but she took words like God, faith, trust, religion, spirituality. Mm, I'm forgetting some. I should have written them all down. But we broke them into their what they came down to, and every single one of those words uh, compresses into an 8, including religion and spirituality. And we looked at religion is made up of a 5 and a 3/8, whereas spiritualism and spirituality, one was um, a 6 in front of a 2, and the other one was a 4 and a 4. But they all made 8s. Well, each one of the numbers, 1 means independence, 2 means coming together, 3 means working as a group, 4 means base and creating stability, 5 means change and resilience and going through that, 6 means hearth and home, 7 means spiritualism and an analysis and going inside yourself, 8 can mean money and power. It can also mean abundance. 9 is the number that we use that where everything is culminated to and changes are coming. It's sort of an ending of things. Um, so if when they were all 8s, they all fell under the power or spiritual or abundance, and we analyzed each of them. So that was kind of a fun game I played today. So what's going on? Well, if you didn't see it in any of the graphics yesterday, I'm sorry, I forgot. When I take me out of the stream, you can't hear me. That was Mount Shasta yesterday in the morning. People took the shot. It kind of flew around the internet. People were looking at it, going, "What's going on?" At the same time, Mount Shasta was doing that. The Schumann resonance. I'm throwing a lot of terms at you, but it's SCHUMANN resonance. It's another thing that it's best read on your own time. I'm not sure I could break it down and really help you with it. But the Schumann resonance has been called the heartbeat of the world. And when the Schumann resonance yesterday was beating in the 30s and 40s 10 years ago, it was way up there yesterday. Way, way up there. And erratic, it was sort of like the earth was having an arrhythmia. And this is happening at the same time that the ley lines are straightening out and the earth lines are getting straighter. And I know people who've actively worked and meditated to create and to fix the ley lines, to connect them back together where they've been broken. I have a friend in South Africa who does that. And the reason we need to get, kept saying to everybody, well, why do you care if the ley lines are connected or straight right now? And they said, because there's going to come a time when the subatomic particles and the photonic energy that's coming over us is going to become so strong that the middle of the earth is going to ring like a bell. It's going to send out vibrations, just like it does with the Schumann resonance, which we can't feel, but it's there. And if you've been having trouble sleeping, if you've been excitable, if your dog won't settle down, that's part of it. And we're getting it from the astrologic aspects of some really interesting trines and oppositions, kind of pulling us in two directions. We're getting it from the very inside of the earth we're standing on. And one of the things Rory Duff had to do was to really check the quality of the ley lines. They had to invent instruments because the energy level there is so low. Well, they don't have to invent instruments anymore. They can find them. And I don't know if any of you watch ghost hunting shows, but you know that changes in energy from the EMF meters where they say, oh, look, the electrical field's going this way. Those are always huge, huge changes for people. And if it's the wrong kind of electrical energy, we can feel it in our body. I mean, it just says this is wrong. But I hope that the earth is tied together, and I hope the ley lines are thicker. I went out after I saw that yesterday and talked to Hogarth, my tree. I can't, he doesn't have like a little mouth that opens up and talk. I hear him in my head. And he said, yes, what they're saying is true. And he said, your ley line is now so much straighter than it was. And ley line energy is very energetic. When you come across it, you'll know something's there. You'll know you're feeling something. And if yours are as alive as mine were, when I went out there in the winter when I first found them, um, I couldn't stand on them for too long. I had to go to one side or the other. Well, what's the other part of what ley lines do? Ley lines are how the elemental energies, the fairies, the gnomes, the all the other little critters that you think of that were in fairy tales, that uh, in Celtic tradition are real things and actually can actively move in our world. They use the ley lines to transport themselves around the world. So you're kind of standing on their footpaths, or if you're in some of the ones that are in England, you're on their super highways. Um, so I can't think of what else I can. I'm trying to think about. I used to do 9 candles up to the solstices and a couple of equinoxes. I did that. I was told to. Well, I, they can't tell me what to do, but I heard from the fairies that those kinds of rituals would help humans become aligned with this energy and to understand it better, or get curious about it and go find it and learn about it. And so, but this time I didn't, because coming up to this solstice, I had some health crap and things. I mean, I've talked to so many readers that the universe slowed down for them and they had to slow down just because we're trying to do too much all at once. And now I can feel the speeds beginning to build again. And the last time I met with the elementals, they said, your chance to help people understand the earth energies is to do 9 candles before 8/8 Lionsgate. 8/8 Lionsgate is the 8th of August, 8/8. And what's important about the Lionsgate date, that's kind of in the middle of a series of days when our solar system is actually pointed to the galactic center. And that's always, it's been a revered date even before people knew that happened. But it's a date where we can gather our energy. A lot of downloads come on us during those times, and we really can move forward with the energy we have. And it's gonna. I 2 years ago, I had a vision right before 8/8, and I did a series of shows. I think I did lead up to it, and I did a show about how on that date we were beginning to split, and it was 2 years ago. Yeah, we were beginning to split. It's as if all of humanity was walking on a path, but all of a sudden there was a fork in the road, and you had to choose right or left. And there wasn't a wrong choice particularly. There was just choose which one you want to go on. And then they said time is going to speed up because you're going to be unburdened from things you've carried for too long. And a lot of that splitting in the road was for us personally. We were going to be splitting from people that were weighing us down and holding us back, and we weren't making the changes we needed to make. So I want to do this 8/8 because they've told me this is going to be another point where it's going to feel like we put our foot in the gas and we're going through time much more quickly. I don't know about you, but this last half year has been literally a blur. I've gotten a lot of stuff done. I've also had to sit down at times and say, oh my God, I can't keep moving like this. But we're going to keep moving like this. We're going to keep growing. We're going to keep becoming the higher energy forms that we need to become. And some of it's now just happening to you, whether you can go try to hide under a rock. Now, what happened to the people who didn't take the trail to choose Ascension and look for it? They're on their own path and they'll find their own way to their own thing. But the deal is we can't carry them anymore. We don't need to carry them anymore. We need to move ahead into our own path and find our own mastery. And I know a lot of it sounds very selfish, but it's not selfish if you're doing what you're supposed to do for the part of your soul that came here to be here. So, and if their souls want to take another path, you don't want them telling your soul what to do. Why do I have any right to tell their soul what to do? The only soul I can really kind of help is my own, and support those that I choose to love and those that I choose to communicate with. And you will gravitate towards the information that I have. That's the other message I got. It's for me to be patient. And some of you are saying, well, why would you get energy, earth energy, and all that stuff? Well, I work a lot with crystals. I build the crystal grids like I showed you. Obviously, if you look behind me, there's some stones back there. And that came to me later in life. I was a psychic and a mystic, and I was used to being weird, and I was used to knowing things I shouldn't know. And I'm now learning this, and it's not stuff we should know, it's stuff we need to know. We're past the point of, oh, I can look at this and have a lark and just sort of think about it. And then what really is going on? Okay. I put in my thing um, about that I would post questions. And that's when I say open mic, I mean, you can ask me pretty much any question. And unless I just think it's inappropriate to be spoken to a crowd, sometimes people are having a lot of personal problems. They want to put them in there. And if my guides tell me that you need to speak to that person personally, I've even done readings for free if I just felt like I can't handle that here. But I can get any of those today, so it's fun. Okay, Christina S. Yoda, I feel you, Master. If you didn't see my posting to come into this, it was like, Yoda gets all into his Melly Yodadom, and then people run into his day and ruin it. That's what the little graphic was about. But and she wants to know what about the missing submarine around the Titanic. I was on a show yesterday with Kelly from Dozen Cats, Allie Martin, Linda G, and I were talking, and Linda G and I kind of had the same kind of bad feeling about what's going on down there. But by the way, if you're going to develop gifts, you can develop gifts and you can say, I want to go this way, I want to go that way. My mother could see death, and I didn't want to do that. So I actively don't see death. So that can be part of what I may be blind to. I don't have a good feeling about it, but I have claustrophobia, so I wouldn't have gotten in that submersible in the first place. But that's just, the whole sense of being tight and in water kind of makes me crazy. So I don't see good things for it. I hope I lit a candle last night right after we got off, sending good energy that way. But okay, now I got a question. I love Yoda. Yes, I do too. I feel so empowered and happy these days. I'm a Libra with Cap rising and Cancer mood. If that helps explain it. Will my empowerment and intuition continue to increase? Well, I know it will for Vicky because she really works at it, and she's also part of my garden club, so I get to talk to her periodically and see where she's at. Vicky's been through some stuff recently, and no wonder she's feeling happy. In going through that stuff, she let go of a lot of negative energy and began to understand some things about her. I'm not an astrologer. I know just enough to be dangerous. But with a Cancer moon, you've got a bunch of really good planets flowing through Cancer right now. That's probably giving you a real boost in energy. And also, if you feel good, focus on feeling good. I was unfortunately raised, this is my own group, so I could say this. I was raised in a very Irish family. And you can have the most wonderful day of your life. I did a lot of theater as a child. And you can have the most wonderful play and have done the most wonderful experience and felt the audience and done all that stuff and just really feel great. And I'd come home and my mother'd go, wait till the next shoe drops. I was raised in a when the next shoe drops kind of family. I don't predict shoes are going to drop. If I'm feeling great and the world's moving great, I hang on to that. I memorize, I walk into that energy of feeling great. And that'll help you extend it and help it make it real about everything that's going on around you. And good for you, girl. Okay. Roni. What do I need to focus on in the next 30 days? Okay, I'm going to throw some stones for her into the garden. And for those of you who haven't seen this before, here we go. Ta-da! This is the garden. And in the garden, we play with 5 elements of our life. We play with our body, our mind, our spirit. This is an amethyst. This is fusite. This is yellow calcite. Grounding, which is pyrite, and clarity, which is sodalite. Now, normally you see sodalite, it's all polished up. It's this beautiful dark stone. Because I played with it so much, it's getting a lot of the beautiful dark blue color. But I don't roll smooth stones in my garden because they roll off my garden. I need them to stay there so I can interpret them. So we're going to look at Roni's next 30 days. Ooh, it's interesting because they formed a line, and that's, if you don't know what the garden is something that I was told to create. I found an artist to create the scarves. I did a whole lot of meditation to figure out which stones run. I created a whole cheat sheet so you can read it like cards. And all I wanted it to do is to do 2 things: tell time and not have anything to do with politics. Because I used to be a political consultant, so I could pick that. Okay, we're going to start in the solar plexus where you're out here. These out in this outer ring are the chakras, except for the tree of life is harmony. In the inside are different areas of ways your life can go. And at the very center is the 4 sacred directions: north, south, east, and west. North is air, south is fire, west is water, and east is earth. And they all have different meanings. If you've studied in, I got this from a certain shamanic tradition. It says things rise out of the earth. The fire brings in from the past, and they are also a way you can burn up your past. The water is for things flowing on and growing and flourishing, and the air is for thoughts and things to take off and become new ideas. So we're going to start the solar plexus, which is where you have clarity in your solar plexus, and it also is in restate, which means you're rethinking what's going on here. But your solar plexus tells you there's more than one way to express your power, and you need to move outward. And I have a feeling the body is running right in the line. So this is the only 2 here. And in restate with clarity, it means your dilemma. The problem is, you know that there's a solution for a problem. You just can't figure out what the problem is right at the moment. So just lay back, be quiet in the next 30 days, Roni, and what you need to work on is going to happen, because it's going to happen in a progression. Your body, it's something that's coming out of your past, that's coming towards you. Your mind is emerging from earth, which is great. Final thoughts on this situation really are coming to you. You're feeling so frustrated because you don't have it clearly defined, but all of a sudden you're going to go, aha, that's what it was that was bothering me. Because up in air, you have cool combination up here. In the air, you have your pyrite. Mental actions are going to be your path to abundance. And you've got teeny tiny little bit of spirit in air, and it's spirit's transforming your thinking right now. But then you have those 2 stones are also in the future and the past. And the spirit is in both the future and the past. And that says, be patient. It's not quite finished going on. That's the future. But right now, it's spiritual changes are happening around you right now. And then your spiritual changes are grounded by pyrite. And it says, in the near future, you're going to get the gifts that are going to enlighten up this whole, it's going to fuse. It's going to start here. You're going to go, oh, that's what it is. And it's going to go all the way down this path. And it's going to tell you what you need to do. But the first part of it is patience. I know, just what everyone wants to hear. But it's really going to work for you. So try that, Roni. And I know you watch my channel quite a bit. Let me know how it turns out. I always like to know how things turn out. This is the only way I can know if I'm right. Okay, oil painter. I'm a ditz these days, which is not true. She just does a lot of stuff. And so, gets little. Please tell me how to become a garden club member. My heavy work around the earth garden is done, and she can come back. To become a member of the gardening, that's the only membership thing I have. It's super cheap. We meet twice a month. If you have a garden, it's really helpful because I can't imagine sitting through a class about something I didn't have. If you don't have a garden, join. You can always pull out and see what we do and how we train to work this. It's a really interesting uh, metaphysical tool. When I first created it, I almost felt like I was A.E. Waite of the Rider Waite deck, going around saying, "Really, you can put these cards out and they make sense to people." Kind of how I feel about it at times. So now I am going to. How to go to become a garden member? Go to my YouTube channel where it says, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go subscribe. My subscribership is growing again, and that's so exciting. I love all my old subscribers, but I love to know that I'm pulling newer people in that want to learn. And next to the subscribe button is the join button. And wow, I went away for a minute and everyone's shown up. If you've put your questions in capitals, I find them easier, but we're going to look. Hi, Dr. Gail. See, I made it. I got a good night's sleep. Dr. Gail and I talk periodically. So. Oh, someone from Ireland. Yay. My mother's family was from Galway. My mom would have been from Galway, but her mother got in the boat faster than she got here. Oh, Hypnicity got her garden. Yes. And we're going to have a class on Saturday, Hypnicity. I'll make sure that I send you an invitation. Lauren Hunsinger, Dr. Gale, told us who took the picture. I don't know if he's somebody you know. Dr. Gale lives on Mount Shasta. She doesn't live on. She lives in Shasta. She doesn't live on the mountain. The mountains got snow yesterday. I gripe about my 100-degree weather, and she talks about her snow. Yes, this video is the one I'm talking about. And it's really, when you hear him speak, this man that's from Moravia, you really understand how you can get hooked into this. It's like any other thing. But to me, ley lines and earth energies and working with stones, which they take my fancy. But I've been reading tarot since I was 12, so I never quit reading tarot. And speaking of reading tarot, I'm doing 6-month readings right now. So if you go to my website, which is, I'm sure Sharon Sipes posted it several times, www.crystaldirections.com. You can find out in the store to let you sign up for it. Okay, this is interesting. Do frequencies that create burls in trees the reasons that burl wood looks like it does? Yes. The energy kind of is swirling around in there, I think. I mean, I love burled wood. I used to do a little woodwork when I was a kid. My dad did some, and I used to love burls. I thought they were fascinating, and I love burled wood pieces. And this is for Prince Charming's mom needs our help. GoFundMe. It also has her full story. She's been a member of my community for almost as long as I've had a community. And you would remember with a name like Prince Charming's mom. And I haven't read what's going on around here. But go and look at that. And then we got Hypnicity again. Mystery spot near Santa Cruz is a powerful place. Yes, places like that tend to be where a lot of ley lines cross. Sedona's just riddled with them. And when a lot of them meet, they create a vortex. Okay, so Schumann resonance. Yeah, the Schumann resonance, this is how it's spelled. And it's an amazing, amazing thing that's going on with it. The Schumann resonance is called the heartbeat of the world because it was this one pulse, kind of energetic pulse that came out of the earth, and it seems so erratic. Right now, if it was a human, it'd be in the coronary care unit. Yep, it's affecting dogs. I have a friend who said, I can't figure out my dog the last 2 nights, been pacing around making me nuts all night. I'll tell you why. Yay, 9 candles. They will be back. And if you ever watched it, just get 9 candles. Doesn't matter what color they are. Last time there were cactuses because I was told to make them cactuses, but I don't know what they're going to be this time. We just kind of have to go with the flow. I'm going to go back and get rid of that. I'm going to hide that banner so I don't keep going back to it. Comments. Okay. There's a lot of negative energy at my current job. My pendulum said the CEO will close the business by October 23. Is this correct? Okay. I'll pull out my pendulum and I'll see if I'll read like to like. That maybe will help you. We get to move again. You get to move to the other side of my desk. And if you wonder why I'm not one of those slick people that just has 2 cameras, it's because I'm cheap. I'm not going to pay StreamYard what they want for 2 cameras. It's not that I don't love you, but I just think it's an incredible increase price for something I can just click and do. Okay. G. Covington is her boss is the CEO intending to close the company. Okay, but I got another flash. He's trying to sell it. He's trying to get out with something. So is the CEO trying to sell the company on the quiet? Yeah, and he's not having much luck at it because it started to swing this way, which is, well, maybe not. Okay. Will G. Covington have good luck in finding a new position with another company? You're going to have no problem finding. That's the first thing I got from my guides was she doesn't need to worry, but she needs to be typing her resume up now. Okay. Somehow I jumped. Okay. You are going to be hidden. I'm reading the comments in front. Gray hypnicity. This is, you've reached your max questions for today's show, but I'll do your birthday. What's going to happen for hypnicity in the coming year? Okay. You've got a lot of big changes coming towards you because you have so many things in Earth. You have your body in Earth, which means that physical changes are coming around you, and your spirit's in Earth, and you're transforming right now spiritually, but you're not quite finished. You're getting rid of some old stuff from your current life. You're working that out, but this year looks really good for you. Your mind is in path forward and false. Your mind is open to watch for signs and false said, but the false says sometimes you listen to your mind too much, and you don't use discernment when your mind tells you things. You need to use a lot of discernment this year. Hypnicity. Don't let your mind fool you, but your mind is open to a whole lot of new things, new ideas. Your grounding is in air. Mental actions are the path to your new abundance, and you've got your clarity coming out of the past. And that means use lessons you've learned before to get the correct answers. So what I would read this to be for you if I was putting it together, you've got some phenomenal changes, physical changes coming. Your spirit's heavily transforming. Your mind is open to new signs and signals. You have the ability to make those go forward. And the thing is, something's going on around you that's going to remind you of what happened in the past. So I think it looks like a good year. Looks like a good year coming up. But I'd like to think we're all having good years at this point. Okay. Is there anything we can do for our dogs to calm them down? Okay, you need to get really calm inside yourself. You may not realize this, and this is what the conversation I had with a friend of mine this morning. His dog's reacting to his reaction to the new moon and this heavy earth energy changes. And if you're just la-di-di, today is just like yesterday, you're not in touch with yourself. And you need to get in touch with your spirit self, which knows these changes are coming. Accept them instead of, because part of the thing when I was younger and I go, blah, 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 it was usually because I didn't want to hear something and I should have listened because I made it far worse. You can, if you get calm within yourself, you can calm them down. You can take yourself and them out for a walk and put your feet on the ground and say to the ground, I accept the fact you're changing, and breathe real acceptance into your body so that you really, really accept that this change is coming. And when I was saying that, I just did a kind of breath because, yeah, this change is coming. And, somebody ran out of battery time. Hope they got what they needed before they ran out. Okay. You can look up, there are maps and there are groups. And matter of fact, I read last week a woman who's in Scotland, but she's an American, and she's actually gone looking for ley lines in Scotland. And she sent me some reference material she got from her Scottish friends about ley lines in America. And I need to go through it and see who the people are that put it together and make sure it's not metaphysical BS and make sure it's somewhat real. But someone mentioned that there's a spot in San Jose. There's several different things around San Jose because you're so close to those fault lines and a lot of energy flows up from them. But if you go to Rory Duff's site, he listed 3 places that were going to have solstice meetings on the day of the solstice. One's in Seattle, one's somewhere in California. And, I know California's like, oh, it's near you because you're in Texas. No, not necessarily, but you might want to go to Rory's site, which I cited earlier. It's real hard. It's roryduff.com. And go to his spiritual part, and he has listed places. There's also a place I think it's on the east coast of Florida, that's having a meeting and has published it widely. And the other thing, how do you find a ley line? I don't know what kind of trees you have near you in San Jose. I think they're more like trees, not pine trees, not palm trees. But you look for trees that have gnarls on them, like those knobby little things. Those are a sign that it's got an excess energy, and it's on a ley line. And when person first told me that, I went, yeah, sure. And then there's one right in front of my house. And I went up and talked to it, and Hogarth said, yeah. And he has them for sure. And he has ley lines going across right underneath his root system. It's like somebody went out there, oh, there's a ley line here. Let's plant this tree and see what happens. Let's see. And Does Spirit have a message for me? Let's see, Mel. I can tell you right now, because of where the stones fell all so tightly in the middle. Oh, you can't see it. That's not fair. I need to change the camera. Okay. All your stones fell basically in there, and that's the basic elements. And actually, they fell in earth, fire, and water. So, and your mind is your path forward, because that's already hit path forward. And your mind is open right now to watch for signs. You have a lot of new spiritual energy coming out of the earth. It's not finished yet. You also have much more about your own value systems being brought forward to you right now. And your body's in fire. It's weird because it's here and here. It doesn't even go into the other ones. I know it looks like it does, but that's got an edge that's not. So your body's purely in fire, and it says you're debating about embodying things from your past, because you've been handed several different paths, and you're worried back here about which one to take. But this says you have all the clarity you need, and your life force and the way things are flowing will move you ahead and get you to the next level. So Spirit's just telling you to go with the flow, basically. That's the fastest way I can think to express that. And let's see. Here's a good pendulum one. Get Mel's stones out of there. Okay. Is Lisa going to go? Will she go back to Jamaica? Yes, yes, but I don't feel it's real soon. It didn't swing wildly, but when your plans will come through to get back there. It's beautiful. I went to Jamaica once. Okay. Yeah, I've only seen one tree that looks as gnarly as mine. Even in the gnarly, when you look up gnarly looking trees or trees with burls, they don't look as gnarly as mine trees. So you just could have one or two burls on it. It doesn't have to look like it's advertising them. Oh, what does Spirit's message for you on your 65th birthday? Yay! Oh, and it would help if I went to the table. Okay. Woo! Yes, you got an interesting message. Interesting. Although you've got the same, I think a lot of people are sensing right now that we're watching for a lot of signs, and we don't want to be fooled, but we want to watch for the signs. But we're going to start out here in sacral creativity. That's that's where your clarity is. And you need to harmonize your creativity with your intentions. You need to creatively look at the way that you can bring those intentions into your life. But you've got the energy here to do it. You've got your spirit is right in the middle. You're going to make me work. I have to read all four signs, all four of these, because it's there. So, spirit's transforming. It's not quite finished. You're getting rid of, because it barely touches this. You're being slightly still affected by some thoughts from the past, but you're clearing those up to enlightening ideas. And we're going to go to this one next because it'll make more sense. Spirit's transforming your thinking. And this one says your transmutation will be complete very, very soon, because your body's in air. When your body's in the air, it says ground your thoughts, and you're going to clearly see where you need to go. So your message from Spirit is you're on the right path. Just don't get waylaid by dreams from the past. Move forward. Keep going forward. Forward's the best place for you to be. And happy birthday. Okay, this one's any more pills. Let's see if we're gonna. I'm gonna see if there's some other. Okay, I'm gonna mark some, and then I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna try to get out of here pretty close to an hour. Okay, that's it. I only have 2 more after this one. 3 more after. Well, my finances. I got to get other people's energy out of the garden so you can see them. But you can't see anything. Okay, that's why I'm doing this, so I can just go back and not have to keep switching the camera all the time. Okay. Well, my finances finally stabilized this year. Yeah, it's you need to put a little more effort into it, Linda. It's not your fault, but there are some things you need to look at, and you're aware of that. But yeah, they'll finally stabilize this year. Okay. Do we have our own spirit elementals? Do I have one? Oh, yeah. You just have to open up to it. Elementals can be all sorts of things. They can be the really cute, peaceful little fairies and gnomes. I have a friend who has had, there's sprites, I think, that have come to visit her, but he flies around on a garden pea, on a green pea in her living room. And he just says, hi, I just came by to say hi. I mean, who knows? My spirit elemental is, if you haven't seen mine, it's Cecil. He's a dragon, and he took me away, so I consider him my main link to them. And if they want me to go, then to somewhere, they send Cecil. And could you not say hi to that face? No. Okay. Yeah, you do have one, Dale. I think, though, you've related more to spirit animals. I know I get that feeling. I'm going to pull a spirit animal from you from the Wild Elementals deck. You can't see it. Okay. From the Wild Elementals deck. I'm going to pull you a spirit critter, because I think that'll help you go back to the elemental that you're connected with. Who'd you get? Ooh, you got the badger. And the energy around a badger is 3. Oh, he's lots of fun. He's an earth elemental. And he's a storyteller. He can be aggressive, single-minded, passion, cunning, revenge, perseverance, groundedness, knowledge of the earth magic, and wisdom. I think if you got a badger, you probably have a gnome. When the badger shows up in your life, you're being told that you have the right to walk your own path in your own pace. Trust that you're exactly where you need to be, and that all you need to walk in this path will be given to you. Stay grounded in the present moment. Be confident that wherever you are where you're supposed to be. Badgers create many burrows, typically roam. That's why I think they're part of the gnomes, because they work on the ground. Or trolls. Trolls go on the ground too. And they go from burrow to burrow, but they never stay one place long. The aggressive nature of the badges is giving you is a message that you have within your right to get upset at someone for trespassing on your goodwill, your kind heart, and your path in life. So I got a feeling the badger's telling you that you've let some people kind of get in your way and you're not doing that anymore. And if you wanted to just kind of look up folklore and stories, see how you relate to stories about gnomes and trolls and see how they relate to you. And every culture has them. No matter where it's from, they call them different names, but they're there. Okay. Okay, we're going to throw a message for our C. You also are in the middle of a very elemental change in your life. You're in fire, earth, air, and water, and your body's emerging from a place that it's been. It's growing up out of the earth. And this really means listen to your body. Listen to your body. Your body's not going to lie to you about things. So when your stomach twists or when you feel open, like you can open your heart to something, listen to that. That's really important for you to be getting along. Also in the earth, more is being brought forward around you all the time. And you've been going through working out some yours is past life. And don't become too tied to that false energy from the past life that's come in to get you, because final thoughts are coming. You're going to conclude that and let it go. It's not serving you well. Your spirit is in the air, which is great. Spirit's transforming your thinking right now, and your clarity is tucked way up here in the corner of fire. And it says, use ideas you carry from your past and your past life for solutions. Whatever's happened in this past life that's nudging you, use it to move forward in solutions in this life, and then let it go. Okay, guys, that was it. Those were all the folks that asked questions when I was when I wanted to get out of here 2 minutes ago. I hope you will come visit my channel again. I saw some new names here that I'm not used to, and that's always good, because supposedly my job in life is to teach people all the spiritual things that are around them that they can use. If you want a reading, I do regular readings. I do past life readings. I do 6-month readings, and I only do 6-month readings from July to December. So if you get now, you can get in on that. Then in December again, I'll do 12-month readings. And those are just a highlight of each month and to give you a sense of the path you're on. I do garden readings, which is a much more intense sort of reading. My past life readings are really intense. The ones I do when I do past life shows, that's just the very beginning of what we start with to begin to build out your past life. And I build crystal grids, which I showed you. This is my grid for the world. And to the 2 ladies that I owe grids to, I'm building them today. I got all the stuff. I couldn't find frames. They ran out of the size of frame I used, so I had to go find my frames. And I found them yesterday. And I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling high about things. I'm excited for the solstice to happen. I've slept for over 8 hours for the last 2 nights, which is quite the opposite for me. Usually when there's big shifts, I'm up all night going, what's happening? What's happening? Don't want to miss anything. And I think we're on the right track. And I really appreciate all of you for being in here. And thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you later.